Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster. That's right, this is episode number 3 in the series, and last time we built this amazing looking South American themed area with the coaster, log flume, everything like that. We also built these couple of flat rides over here and this toilet building on this side. So yeah, today, before we start doing anything, there is one thing that we need to address in this game, and it is my ability to name things. I am very bad at naming things. We have the coaster over here, and the coaster is called Copperhead Strike, and obviously, because we used the Efteling inspiration of Python and the real world equivalent of this coaster called Anaconda, and the fact that there is a Copperhead Strike in game, the name Copperhead Strike was easily deducted, but other than that, I am very bad at naming things. For instance, the log flume still doesn't have a name. It's still called Chopper's Creek, which is the default game. This one is called Insanity because it's called the Insanity in game. This one is called the Venetian because it's called the Venetian Carousel in game. So I am very bad at naming things. So I want to ask all of you to please suggest some names in the comments or anything. If you have a naming suggestion for anything in this park, especially for the rides, please let me know in a comment, and it will be most likely that I will pick your name because I am very bad at naming things. So especially for the log flume, I need a name. But yeah, things like Insanity, Venetian and stuff, they need a name as well. Now, the next thing that needs a name, and you can already see it down here in the bottom left, is the park itself. Now, since I am so bad at naming things, I asked ChatGPT to give me a name for a theme park created in Planet Coaster, inspired by Efteling, in a fantasy theme on a map like this, and ChatGPT gave me a list of about 30 names, most of which were complete nonsense. One of them was Enigma Eftelings, one of them was Questopia Park, one of them was Babel Falls Park. So all of those names don't really mean anything to me, but there was one name that stood out to me a little bit, and that I think captures the essence of what we are trying to do in this park a little bit, and that was Mystica. So for now, we are going to call this park Mystica. If you have a better name, please let me know. Leave a comment, leave a suggestion, give me something to work with, because I am very bad at naming things. So I need your help. Please let me know. And if you suggest a name, it's highly likely that, unless there are like 100 suggestions, which I doubt on the first couple of episodes of a new series, but if you suggest me a name, I will probably use it in this Let's Play. Alright, now, what are we going to do today? So I'm a little bit sick and tired of this South American theme. We are going to leave this alone for the next couple of episodes. I know in the last episode I said we are going to build a playground over here, maybe a little restaurant. I know I also said we're going to add a restaurant over here. I know I said we're going to be probably building something over here. All of that is not going to happen this episode. I want to start on something brand new. I want to start something down here on this side of the theme park. I have no idea yet what we are going to build. I have no idea yet how we're going to build it. I have no idea what theme it's going to be. But we are going to continue the theme park a little bit in this direction because we are pretty close to the edge over here. So we need to continue in this direction. And yeah, I'm going to build something big. Either a Darkride or another coaster or something like that. Not quite sure yet. I'm going to keep this introduction short because there haven't been any changes since the last episode. But yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build on this side of the map. Something big, something cool. For me, it's probably going to take a couple of days before it is done. But for you, it's only going to take a couple of seconds before you get to the next update. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. I will start building and you will enjoy the next update right now. Alright, and here we are with the first update of this episode. We are here at the front of Spook Slot, our favorite place to start these updates. Well, because the Spook Slot is so old, everybody has seen it by now, so this is an excellent place to start these updates. Also, as you can see, we are at night mode. Something that we usually don't do at the start of an update, but today we are starting this update in night mode. And the update is very, very nice. So let's take a little walk. We are in first person. We are in Tachet Cam. Let's take a walk through the tunnel over here. Then we get on this side of the tunnel, on this side of Spook Slot. This is still an absolutely beautiful site. I love it. And as I said a couple of episodes ago, the attraction that we are going to watch, we're going to see, is on the other side of the forest over there. But because this is so densely grown, so overgrown, so densely packed, and the path doesn't turn right until a couple of meters after the exit, we can't see the new ride at all. So that is very good. If you are coming out of Spook Slot, you are staying in the ambiance of Spook Slot. So there is no other rides that can, you know, mess up your views. So let's take a quick walk around the side to the right over here. We can already see a little bit over here. Have some more trees. Quickly walk over here. And then we have this little plaza over here. We can see the shadow on the ground. Very exciting. What could it be? I hope that if you are familiar with Efteling, you are going to recognize this. So without further ado, we have Villa Volta. Hopefully people who know Efteling recognize this building. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Get the moon in the shot as well. Look at that. That is an absolutely beautiful shot. So this is Villa Volta. And Villa Volta is, of course, for those who know, Villa Volta is a madhouse. Villa Volta was actually the first madhouse. And it's located in Efteling. And it has a very intricate story. It has a couple of pre-shows. Pre-shows are mostly in Dutch, so it is quite difficult for foreigners to follow the story. But, you know, Villa Volta is a very, very detailed, story-oriented dark ride in Efteling. And we made a recreation of this ride right here in Planet Coaster. Now, obviously, Planet Coaster does not have a madhouse ride in the game. And even though this is an actual ride, we are going to ride this. We are going to make an on-ride POV. This isn't an actual madhouse. As with most of the things in this series, this house is inspired by Villa Volta. And actually in game, it is not called Villa Volta, it's called Villa Morel. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not make this right now. I did not build this right now. This is a building that I built probably over a year ago. It's already on my Steam Workshop. It has been on my Steam Workshop for a couple of months now. I've built this way before I even started my YouTube channel. I have been looking for a park ever since that I built it. I've been looking for a park to put this in. I had never built a park that had the right theming, the right ambiance to put this built in. And now that we are building a Efteling inspired park with an Efteling inspired Villa Volta or Villa Morel, this is the perfect opportunity to place it in a park and have people actually visit it. So with that out of the way, let's go take a look at Villa Morel and how it functions in game. So if you take a look over here, we get down here, we have the entrance over here, a little bit of a cattle pen, up and down, up and down. And as I said, the real Villa Volta in Efteling has a couple of pre-shows. This has a pre-show as well. Only one though, and it's only very short. But pre-show trigger, make it dark, click play and go inside. So that is what we are going to do. So I have to be quick over here now. So let's push play, close that, do that, go inside. Then we are in the first room, the first pre-show area. There is a little bit of a delay. Very nice, very nice. In the actual Villa Volta, there is this old man sitting in a chair on top of a closet, on top of the, I don't know, on top of something. And he's telling the story about how he and his friends and his gang robbed a monastery, I think it was, during a stormy night way back when. So that is the premise of Villa Volta. There's a gang, they robbed a monastery or a church or something, and then one of the nuns or one of the priestesses, they cursed the gang Now he has to live in a cursed house, and the house is cursed, and that is the premise for Villa Volta. But as I said, we don't have a madhouse over here in the game. This is the first pre-show. Basically, there are just queue paths down here, so people will queue up in here. The actual Villa Volta has a couple more pre-shows, but we go straight into over here. Again, there's a couple of green things coming in. I have to fix that. And this is the door to the actual ride. And the ride that we chose to be Villa Volta is this one. Up the stairs over here. This is in the game what's called the overpower ride. It goes up and down, spins around, stuff like that. It was the closest thing that I could think of that would maybe resemble Villa Volta a little bit. So I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Let's make an on-ride of our version of Villa Volta called Villa Morel. Let's go. Alright, and that was an on-ride on Villa Volta, or Villa Morel as it's called in game. Excellent. Now if we take a quick trip down the stairs over here, walk through the door, then we are in the exit, at the exit. We're back at the plaza at the front of Villa Volta. Now as you probably have seen during the on-ride, all those special effects, the lightning, the blood on the wall, the lights going on and off, the spooks coming up and down, all of that causes significant frame rate issues. So for now we are going to keep this ride turned off, but it is an actual functioning ride, and as soon as visitors come into the park we will turn it on. And once the park is done and it'll be up on the Steam Workshop, you'll be able to download it for yourself. You can already download this ride on the Steam Workshop if you want to. For lighting, as you can see, we have used the same blue, purplish, yellowish color scheme that we used in the rest of the park. Makes it look a little bit extra spooky, I think. Those blue gates with the purplish columns. Yeah, I think that looks really, really awesome. Excellent. So let's take a quick look-see at it during the daytime. So this is pretty much a one-to-one recreation of Villa Volta of the main building. This is not obviously a one-to-one recreation of the entire ride, but the main building I think looks actually pretty good. And the building itself isn't that complicated. I mean, the walls and stuff, they are, you know, I had to break it up into sections to get the exact size I wanted. Most of the work is in the details on the roof. Here, like these windows over here, these windows over here, stuff like that. The roof itself, the front is obviously very detailed, and a lot of work went into special effects on the inside and the pre-show, all that stuff. So all in all, it may look a little bit simple, but there was a lot of work that went into all the small, tiny little details that this building has. These arches, for instance, over here with the boats in it, they are actually concave, that's the right word, right? These are actually half domes. That took for ages to figure out how to do that. And not only how to do that, but how to do it so close to a wall without it sticking through. Stuff like that, that takes forever to build. But as I said, I haven't built this just now. I have built this probably over a year ago, but I've been waiting for the theme park to put this in. And yeah, I'm very happy with how this looks. Now, the final view I want to show you of this is back here. So if we take a walk up towards Spook Slot over here, as you can see on this side, you can hardly see Villa Morel at all. It's completely covered in trees, and once we have the playground over here with some more trees on the back, this is going to be completely invisible from this spot. And that is done intentionally because if you take a look at it, this building is huge. It is actually almost as tall as the roller coaster, and the roller coaster is like 20 meters high. So this building is like, you know, 16 or 17 meters high, and that's a lot for a 3-story building, and especially compared to Spook Slot, which I built really compactly. So I didn't want the villa to detract or distract from the Spook Slot for people walking over here. So that is why we built this, all these trees around here, and this building is going to be covered in trees. Right, so next up is going to be, we have to finish the plaza over here. Maybe add a little fountain or something. I don't know yet. And I have an idea for a ride that can go over here. Obviously, as I said, I think the mountain is going to be a natural end to the park on this side, which means that the path that is going this way has to end here somewhere as well. And I have an idea about a ride that we can put over here, maybe a little bit into here, that will help, put an end, natural end to this part of the park. So yeah, that was the first update of this episode. You guys will see the second update of this episode in a couple of seconds. For me, it's going to probably take a couple of days, maybe even a week or so, to build the next update, but you're going to see it in a couple of seconds, so I'll be right back with you. Alright, and here we are in the next update for this episode. We are here at the front of Villa Morel, or Villa Volta, whatever you want to call it. We named the attraction Villa Morel, but it's obviously based on Villa Volta. So we are here at the front of it. I added a little bit of a plaza over here with a lot of statues, a lot of stuff, neatly manicured bushes. So this is an excellent little plaza for people to relax on. If we take a look at the real Efteling, there is a plaza in front of Villa Volta as well. There are a couple of other attractions on the plaza. There's a train station, Dreamflight is there, the Efteling show is there, Ravelijn is there. So yeah, this is, in real life, this is a place where you see lots of strollers standing about, because there are lots of family-friendly attractions all around. You see lots of strollers about, lots of people sitting. There are usually some carts, some eating carts around to buy some sausages or buy some coffee. So that is the plan for the rest of this plaza as well. Add some little vendors and stuff. Make it feel like it's busy, make it feel like it's lived on. And that is what we are going to do for the rest on this plaza. Now, if we take a walk over here, and we go from this plaza all the way to over here, we can see already some things in the distance. One thing I started doing is I started building these little road markers. So Villa Morel is obviously that way, Spook Slot and the South America theme park is that way. And as you can see, yes, it is in Dutch. I am recording this episode this series in both Dutch and English. But since this is a Efteling inspired park and Efteling is in the Netherlands, I decided that all the texts that are going to be visible, like these markers, these are all going to be in Dutch. And then we have 2 more markers that point that way. And as we can see, we have Tufferbaan and Tufferstation. And if you are familiar with Efteling, you know that Tufferbaan is a car attraction. And if we walk along over here, here we have a split in the road. The road to the right doesn't go anywhere yet, but that is for future expansions. Then we have more of these markers over here. The ones leading to the unfinished road are obviously still empty. And if you then continue walking, we get to this little gate that welcomes us to this little plaza. This plaza is a dead end in the park. You can't go anywhere from here. So that is the reason why there is a train station over here. This is the first train station of the game. I've kept it relatively simple. And then if we look over here, this is the Tufferbaan. And the Tufferbaan in Efteling, it's a pretty old attraction. It's these old car rides. It's exactly these cars as well. And, you know, they go around the track. And I think everybody who's ever been to Efteling knows about this ride. I think most people have been on this ride, but most people have been on this ride ages ago. I can't remember when I went on this ride last time. I know it exists. I know I've been on it plenty of times when I was a kid. But haven't been on it probably in 15 years or so. I don't really remember the layout of the ride. I don't really remember the theming of the ride. And if you look up pictures of this ride, for some reason there aren't many pictures of this ride available. There's only a couple of pictures of the entrance. And the entrance looks a little bit like this. So that is what I went with for inspiration. So we have the entire plaza over here. All buildings over here are modeled after this style. So this is the station building for the car ride. You can see the gate has the same colors, the same style. The train station has the same style, just different colors. And if you take a look over here, this is the entrance for the rail station. We have a little bit of a queue here, not much. And then over here we have the station itself, the platform. Now the platform isn't covered, it's open air. The queue is covered, so yeah, that is pretty cool. And then if you take a look over here, this is the exit path, and we have beautiful views of the roller coaster over here. Spoke slot on that side. Lake, which has grown a little bit on this side, but I'll talk about that later. And then over here we have another cool shot of the roller coaster, and over here we can already see parts of the car ride. This is the viaduct that we built. A little bit of a railroad tunnel. And then if we take the exit queue over here, we have a view of the queue as well, and we are back at the plaza. Very well. And then if we cross the plaza over here, this is the entrance to the car ride. A very simple queue, just straight on over here, entering the cars on this side. Now I am going to take you on an on-ride right now. Most episodes I skip the on-ride and save it to last, but for this episode, for this update, I want to take you all with me on the on-ride. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this little car ride. Right then, here we are behind the wheel of the first car. No music yet on this ride. I haven't chosen a song that we are going to play on this ride. It's going to be a long on-ride. This isn't a particularly fast ride. But we start over here, we get up on the viaduct, plenty of nature all around us. We get some pretty cool views of the roller coaster to our left. So on the right side, mostly just nature, a little bit of a hill. We can see the railroad track over there. Then, as I said, on our left, beautiful views of the coaster across the pond. Some views of the log flume as well. More nature to our right. Then over here, this is where the railroad continues and disappears into a mountain tunnel. And this is supposed to be a relaxing ride through the forest. Still have to do some undergrowth over there, but most of this is pretty much done on this side. More forest to go through. And then at the end of the forest, we can see a sign warning us of falling rocks, falling debris. So this is where we enter the rocky section, and in the rocky section we go back down from the viaduct. Plenty of rocks on either side. And at the bottom of the rockfall we enter a small village. It's actually only one street which I built, but it's supposed to be a little village. We have some cars parked, we have the sideways, houses left and right, street lights, you know. And then we get on the end, then we get to the end of the village, and this is where we haven't themed basically anything. This little part, there's a reason why I haven't themed over here yet, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. Right now, just know that there isn't much theming on this side. And then we get through these arches. These aren't very themed either, but I do know I want to use this kind of archway, pathway on the right, and it's going to be probably here, but the theming, the detail theming is going to come in later. And then we get through a little tunnel before we end up on the final corner. And then on the right we have a corner that dips into the garage in case some cars need maintenance. And these our car takes the left right hand corner. Sounds a little bit strange, but he takes the left right hand corner to glide right back into the station over here, bringing this ride to an end. Excellent. Then if we exit the ride, this is the exit of the car ride. Then we have some nice views of the car ride itself. We're on the back of the village over here. Then we go up over this bridge and back down, and we are back at the plaza of the Tufferbaan. Excellent. So if we zoom out a little and we take a better look at the overall view of this part of the park, we can see that most of this area is now been filled in. It is themed either through the car ride or for nature. We have over here, we have the railroad disappearing into the mountain with a nice brick railroad tunnel. I'm not going to decorate the inside of the tunnel, just the entrance and the exit. Then on this side over here, this is going to be the end of the park, so there isn't going to be anything over here. So what I did is I put down a lot of trees, not too close together. They aren't as detailed as we are over here. We built lots of undergrowth. We built lots of, bushes. We add some stones to make sure the trees are all perfectly aligned, or not perfectly aligned, perfectly unaligned. And over here, I just put down some trees to make it blend in with the rest of the outside of the park. And yeah, it's not particularly neat, but if you look at it from a distance, if you look at it from over here or something, or over here, you can see, yeah, there are trees in the distance. The forest probably goes on. You're probably at the edge of the forest, but you won't see the undergrowth anyway. So it doesn't have to be as detailed as we do over here. But yeah, I still want to give that illusion of being on the edge of a forest. Now, this part of the car ride hasn't been detailed as thoroughly as this side, and the reason for that is we have this huge open space over here, and just like I did with the coaster and the log flume, I don't really fancy a lot of open spaces. So what I want to do is, I think we're going to build another coaster over here, probably a wooden coaster, and I think part of the roller coaster is going to be in the center of this car ride. So probably goes over the track somewhere here, does maybe a cool turn, and then over the garage, over the tunnel, goes back out. So that is the plan for the future on this side. Then over here, we still have plenty of room left. We need to start building some restaurants and some drink shops, because the only restaurant we have right now is this Professor Wurst, and we don't even have anything to drink in this park, I believe. We do have plenty of toilets. There's of course this building. There's a toilet inside the station building of Copperhead Strike. This one is a toilet, but yeah, I think we need to start building some restaurants. So that is going to be the next main focus. Yeah, I will add another update in just a couple seconds. It won't be as big as this one. We did a lot in this episode already. We built Villa Volta, or Villa Morel as we call it in game. We built the Tufferbaan. We built the station over here. We finished all the nature over here, or most of it anyway. There's still some dots, some spots around that could need a little bit more, but for 99% we are done with this part of the theme park. We're going to continue on this way probably for the next update. So I will see you in the next update in a couple seconds. Alright, and welcome to the final update of this episode. We are here at the plaza in front of the car attraction, and if we take a walk towards this side we can already see some of the new additions in the distance. But if we take a walk over here, we can see the path on the left side here is now decorated. A whole lot of nature is added, so it's no longer an empty stretch of land. I think this view is basically what this theme park is going to be all about. Lots of nature, lots of theming, lots of rides. Most of them pretty close together, but enough nature in between. And then if we go straight on, we can see a facade dooming up. I don't know if you are familiar with the Efteling, you will probably recognize it. It's called Het Witte Paard, which means the white horse. And it's the largest restaurant in Efteling. It's in a very central spot in Efteling. It has entrances all around. It has terraces all around. For now, though, it is nothing more than, the outer wall. There's nothing on the inside yet. We still have to build all the rest of the restaurant. I plopped down a couple of these booths so that people could actually order something in here. Created the terrace, of course. These nice little plants over here. And if you take a look over here, go a little bit back. This has got to be one of my favorite spots in the park so far. If we take a look to our left over here, we can see the railroad and the lake or the pond and the roller coaster in the distance. And then if we take a look over here, we have the restaurant, which is beautifully themed, or at least it's going to be beautifully themed. Then over here, this is the fork in the road, so you can go right or left. And yeah, I absolutely love this view with the trees and the shade, the sunlight. Beautiful. And if you take a look at the sign over here, we can see a new name that has popped up, Pegasus. So if we take a walk down this path that used to be a dead end, we can now see a wooden roller coaster on this side. Now, of course, Efteling does have a wooden roller coaster at the moment. It's actually a dueling coaster, and it's called Joris en de Draak. But before that dueling wooden roller coaster was built, there was another wooden roller coaster in the park, and that was called Pegasus. And that is where we get our inspiration from this coaster. Now, Pegasus was, I believe it was just wood color, not white. This roller coaster is white. But we are going to be theming this, or coloring this at least, the same way that Pegasus was. It's just that it's been so long since Pegasus existed. It used to be one of my favorite roller coasters. And I remember it was at the edge of a lake. And then if you wanted to go out, if you followed the path from the exit of the coaster, you had to walk all across the lake because it was an elevated wooden path above the lake. That's not something we're going to do here, but we are going to take inspiration from Pegasus, obviously by name, but also by theming. Now, the original coaster didn't have any actual theming. It was just a wooden roller coaster with a wooden station building. That's it. So we are going to try and add a little bit more theming, but it won't be much. It'll still be a very basic wooden roller coaster. So if you jump out of Gadget Camp for a second, we can see the footprint of the wooden roller coaster. I'm not quite happy with the layout yet, but that's something for the next episode. I did say that I wanted to incorporate this area into the wooden roller coaster, and I tried, but that made the roller coaster a little bit too stretched out, made it lose too much speed. Also, the roller coaster going over the tracks, the supports didn't really work for that, so I decided, just scrap it, just give the wooden roller coaster its own footprint, and we'll fill this in with nature and some more theming for the car ride in the future, and let's just have the wooden roller coaster be its own thing. So that is what we are working on in the next episode, finishing the theming for the wooden coaster, finishing the theming for the car ride, finishing the restaurant. Obviously, we are building a theme park that is very much inspired by Efteling. I know some of you who are watching are probably pretty disappointed that there aren't any actual recreations, and we take a lot of liberties with how we use the Efteling as inspiration. Of course, we built Villa Volta or Villa Morel this episode, which from the outside at least looks pretty much like Villa Volta. But if you have any suggestions, any tips, any tricks, any requests, any other comments, please leave them in a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love reading your guys' comments and yeah, getting tips and tricks and things I can do better. Or maybe you have ideas on what to build next. Please let me know in a comment down below. But for now, this is going to be it for today. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.